All right, welcome on into the Falls Count Anywhere podcast. Charlie Turner, Chris DiCarlo, and John Restano all here with you. Gentlemen, I say good evening because we are pre-recording here on Wednesday, June the 7th, for our air on June the 10th, which we will be, if you're watching this live, we are live, but this was pre-recorded and we're kind of like in a time machine and it's, I don't know, you know what I mean. But anyway, so guys, we have fun on this show. We love doing the podcast. We love talking classic wrestling. It is a bit of a somber day here for us. As some of you may or may not know by now, the Iron Sheik, the legendary Iron Sheik, has passed away at the age of 81. Guys, we had so much fun on this show talking about the Iron Sheik and his Sheik tweets and his take on current events. His very last tweet is fitting for what we're going through today with these stupid wildfires coming over from Canada. We'll have to talk to Jacques Rougeau about that and see if we can get it reversed or something. I don't know. But guys, we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But we do want to welcome in our guest for this week. He is the founder of New England Championship Wrestling, all the way back in 2000. And we might be seeing a comeback for it. Well, we don't know yet, but that's what we're going to find out on this interview today. We are welcoming in Mr. Sheldon Goldberg from New England Championship Wrestling. Sheldon, thank you so much for joining us on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast. How are you today, sir?
I'm very, very good, and thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It's good to see all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, you as well, sir. You as well. Right off the bat, Sheldon, I got to ask you. As I mentioned at the top there, we lost the legendary Iron Sheik. We just found out this morning today on June the 7th. Just wanted your opinion, your thoughts on one of the greatest legends of all time, the Iron Sheik.
Absolutely, certainly one of the greatest heels. Sorry, of the of this generation, or the past generation, this preceding generation of professional wrestling. I think that it's fortuitous that WWE and A&E aired the biography on him recently, because I don't think that most people really have a handle on, this guy's life and his accomplishments and so forth. And I thought that episode was one of the better ones in the series. And I think if you go on the A&E app, I think it's unlocked and you can watch it. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, to see it. And what a great athlete he was. What a story as an individual, being a bodyguard to the Shah of Iran, escaping Iran and coming to the United States, coaching the U.S. Olympic team. He's got such a storied history. It's not just the funny stuff that we've come accustomed to seeing from him, in recent years. But he's a great one. He's a great one. He'll be missed.
Absolutely. And Sheldon, you bring up a good point with the biographies that they do on A&E. I bring it up a lot on the show because I love the way they do them. Both the A&E biographies and the ones on Vice, the Dark Side of the Ring, right, that they do as well. But the Sheik, it was, at least he was able to be a part of that. He wasn't already passed on, and he was at least able to contribute to that documentary and talked about his younger days as being the bodyguard of the Shah, and when he was receiving Olympic medals and whatever it was, like he was pointing at and showing pictures of his younger days, and it was cool to get the living Sheik's perspective on it at that time.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. So yeah, the Sheik will be missed, guys. As we know here on this show, we love the Sheik. So, but Sheldon, I want to get into your wrestling promotion, New England Championship Wrestling. Again, as I mentioned at the top, we might be seeing a comeback of New England Championship Wrestling. It was last did a show back in 2019 before the stupid pandemic hit this country and the world. So what's on the docket for NECW, if anything, coming up in the future?
Well, we don't have anything on the books currently. I mean, it's certainly a possibility that we could start running again at some point in time. I just retired from my outside of wrestling job. So, I'm taking it each day at a time. I've had health issues over the last few years. I'll tell you the story as quickly as I can tell it. I don't want to take up too much of your time with it, but
take your time.
6 years ago, I had an accident. I had a fall and broke my right shoulder in 5 places. Yeah, it was really kind of a bad injury, and that kind of set me back. Before that, I had been running regular events for 14, 15 years. And I was forced to take a break due to that injury. I came back and ran a few shows that were fundraisers and so forth, and was working towards getting back into regular operation. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. And in more recent years, I've been struggling with kidney disease. I'm on dialysis currently. And, I'm doing fine with it. I mean, I'm not in any mortal danger, but by the same token, that is something to be dealt with and dealt with seriously. So, I'm doing the best I can with it. All my numbers are good at this point, and I'm looking forward to, I'm going to outlive some of my creditors, so that's a good thing. And at this point, so yeah, but I'm I have some creative projects that are in the works. There's a whole lot of material in the NECW vaults that has not been seen in decades, and I'd like to do some stuff to bring some of that to light. I've done a couple of series on YouTube that you can check out. One is called NECW Legacy, and the other is called the NECW 20th Anniversary Collection, which are sort of our greatest hits. I'd highly recommend that people check those out. You'll see a lot of stars before they became famous. You'll see a lot of local guys who perhaps should have had bigger careers, but were a very integral part of our promotion. And I'm very proud of that body of work, and I would recommend to people that they check it out.
Well, two things, Sheldon, off the bat. One, we all here know about kidney disease and failure. We helped a friend of the show out get a kidney not too long ago, and she's doing great, thank God. And so we wish you all the best with that. And if we can help, just let us know. And second, we show classic clips here, and actually you will be our first clip because you're our guest today. But I want to touch upon what we all embody and feel here with this show over the past year and a half is that the fans were chanting, "Thank you, Sheldon," in the ring as you stood. And you said, "No, thank you." And that's kind of how we feel with our guests and legends, that if it wasn't for us fans, right, who would some of these people be? So, like,
absolutely.
I mean, I understand money situations and whatnot, but we don't buy into the paying anybody a couple $100 for a 45-minute interview, because if it wasn't for us, right, who would they be? So I just wanted to touch on that and glitched up there. Sorry, that was great that you did that and you have that same compassion, sir.
Well, it's heartfelt. I love the fans. I wouldn't be anything without fans. I've been a fan myself since I was a little kid. So,
Yeah, the one, to me, the one thing that was evident about how important the fans are is the pandemic era of like the WWE and even AEW, where they had about 20 people in the arena in an outdoor stadium, and WWE had like these video screens with fans on it. And it just wasn't quite the same. And in that first show that came back with a live audience, with a live crowd, it was just so electric, man. It just made it was almost like a payoff of, and even Vince McMahon came out and said, "Where the hell you been?" It's like a return of the fans in a sense, which was pretty awesome. And Sheldon, I got to wish you the best on that shoulder as well, man. I've slept on my shoulder wrong and have felt it for like weeks. So I can't imagine what you're going through, hurting it in or breaking it in 5 places, wherever the case there with your shoulders. That's gotta be...
Actually, it healed up pretty well. I actually didn't need surgery, so that was a good thing.
Nice. Yeah.
It just took time for it to heal, and I don't have 100% range of motion, but I have enough to drive and type and write and all that stuff. So, what didn't keep me from working, it didn't keep me from living life. So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing, absolutely. And Sheldon, I wanted to touch again on the documentaries we were discussing. The Dark Side of the Ring documentaries, to me, are because they're so much more in depth than the A&E ones, because they're kind of WWE friendly, if you will. But the most recent one that I should say the season premiere was Chris Candido and Sonny. Did you get a chance to check that out? And if you did, what were your thoughts on that?
Yes, I did. I did check that one out. I'm about to watch the Magnum TA one later today. I haven't watched that one yet, but the Chris and Tammy one was very, very well done. You know, it's such a sad story. The story of both of them, really, but Chris more so than Tammy, I think. I mean, here's a kid who loved
Yeah.
wrestling and had that burning desire to get into it. The one thing that they didn't mention was that Chris's uncle was a wrestler, Popeye Chuck Richards,
Oh,
who was like an enhancement guy for the WWF for many years, and so Chris sort of came from a wrestling family, and he just had that burning desire, and above uh, the objections or concerns of his mom, he got into pro wrestling and he made it. And I only met Chris a couple of times and very briefly, so I can't say I really knew him on a personal level. But everybody I know who does had great things to say about him.
I
I
didn't
thought it was
realize.
a very well done episode.
Yeah, I agree, and I didn't realize he passed away due to a blood clot from ankle surgery, and he flew. It was recommended not to fly, and he flew anyway because he wanted to get back with ECW, and it ended up costing him his life, which is just so tragic. I mean, he was 32 or
Mm-hmm.
33 when he passed. So, and then now you see what Tammy Lynn's going through, Tammy Lynn Fitch, if I have that correct. What she's going through and the battles that she's going through right now later in life is kind of sad. So hopefully, although she's looking at prison time at this point, which is kind of scary.
Right.
But,
Right.
so who knows what's going to happen there? But Sheldon, I want to talk to you.
That's a real tragedy. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. But I wanted to talk more about your career, sir. As far as what got you into starting New England Championship Wrestling was, how did you get your foot in the door to begin that promotion, and how far back do you go as a wrestling fan? Like, how did it all come to be?
You beat me to
I go back. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, he beat my question to it.
I go back to when I was 6 years old, watching wrestling on a black and white TV, and with my folks. Nobody in my family was a wrestling fan except my late grandmother. She liked the girls and the midgets. That was her big thing. But no, I was a wrestling fan since I was 6 years old. I thought it was like a comic book come to life. I didn't think for a minute that I would ever be involved in professional wrestling. My career before pro wrestling was in professional theater, believe it or not. I actually did publicity for off-Broadway shows, Broadway shows on tour. I was a theater producer. I produced theater successfully for a number of years. And the economics of that business took a turn, and then I just started doing stuff that I like to do. And one of the things that I like to do was write. And so I published a newsletter called Matt Marketplace, which is a newsletter for collectors of wrestling memorabilia, which was another hobby of mine. And that sort of put me in touch with a number of people. And one of those people was a wrestler who went by the name of the Boston Bad Boy, Tony Rumble. Tony Rumble might be best known for his work with Mario Savoldi's ICW. And Tony, actually, it's a funny story. Tony and I grew up about a mile apart from each other, but we never met each other until 1990. We met each other at a wrestling convention that was put on by John Oresley at the Newark airport.
Wow.
And once we met and got to know each other, it was like he was like the brother I never had. He was promoting wrestling under the banner of the Century Wrestling Alliance. And he asked me to come around. And at the time, one of my sidelines with the newsletter was selling wrestling merchandise. I had all kinds of stuff that I would pick up wholesale that I would resell through the newsletter. And he asked me if I wanted to come and sell the stuff at live events. And so I was doing that. And he never charged me for anything. And I said to him, well, let me do something for you. Let me at least try to help you out in some way, shape, or form or another. So I started doing things like the posters and the tickets and the website and all that kind of thing. And we became very close. And Tony died unexpectedly due to a heart attack at the age of 43 in 1999.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of, it was a very tragic situation. And after that, I was kind of lost and decided that maybe I should start a promotion. And I got together with a former WCW referee by the name of Scott Dickinson, who helped me start New England Championship Wrestling. And the company's run for now it's like 23, 24 years. So
Wow.
here we are.
That's very cool. And then once you got the promotion started, and then you're working with talent and in-ring performers, what was that dynamic like? Did you deal with a lot of egos and that sort of thing? I could imagine. But then at the same time, it's an independent wrestling, so these are guys working their way up. Was it a mixture of egos and not so much, or was it all just a bunch of hardworking guys looking to make it into the spotlight?
Well, let me preface that by saying, when I was working in theater, one of my first jobs was doing publicity for Broadway shows on tour. And my specialty was working with people that nobody else wanted to work with.
Ah.
My specialty was the first producer that I ever worked for. On the first day that I was going to work, he said to me, "Kid," he says, "you just got to remember one thing if you're going to do this and work with actors. There's two kinds of actors, crazy and hospital crazy." So he was not far off the mark.
Right.
So in my career of working in theater, I saw a lot of things, had a lot of experiences with some people who were one step out of the rubber room, so to speak. So when I started promoting wrestling, I was pretty well prepared for egos and pretty well prepared for difficult people. I always saw myself as a pretty collaborative person. So I didn't approach it from like, you must do this, you must do that. I had kind of a more mellow attitude going into it. And it took me about 5 or 6 years before I really kind of got the hang of it in terms of working with talent and booking and so forth. But I knew about promoting live events, and I knew about doing publicity and so on and so forth. So I had a pretty compatible background on certain aspects of wrestling coming into it. And then the working with the talent kind of developed itself over a period of time. So I was pretty fortunate in a lot of ways, because NECW came along at a time when what we know as independent wrestling now is just starting.
Right.
It was just really developing. And the biggest challenge that we had as a company is trying to create some sort of credibility locally for what we were doing. And because I had a background in PR, I was able to, get out press releases and get stories in newspapers and so forth, and really, kind of paint us as the picture of, this is your friendly neighborhood wrestling promotion with guys who are, they're not famous today, but maybe 5 or 10 years down the road they're going to be famous, and much of that came to be true. So the long answer to your short question was, it took me a while, but yeah, I did get the hang of it, and I found it very rewarding. I found it much more rewarding working with young guys coming up than working with established stars.
Yeah, Sheldon, can I ask you, we love, obviously we like the Iron Sheik here. We always like hearing any interaction or any stories that you know of. Did you meet Andre the Giant?
I met Andre the Giant before I ever got into wrestling. I met Andre the Giant when I was producing theater. And
wow.
I had a show. Yeah, I had a show that I produced, which was called Dancing in the Street. It was a Motown review. And at this particular time, it was playing in a hotel, in a nightclub in the basement of the Bradford Hotel in Boston. It's now called something else. But this was a hotel that the wrestlers used to stay at whenever they came through town. And Andre was noted for staying in this hotel. And you'd find him at the bar, and I'd say hello to him, and he wouldn't let anybody buy him a drink because he didn't need anybody to buy him a drink. Nobody needed to buy him a drink. But we got to talking, and I told him that I produced plays and so forth, and I had a play right downstairs, and he told me that he always wanted to go to a play, but he was afraid that he couldn't fit in the seats, and it would be people would stare at him, and it would be a terrible experience. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have a matinee coming up at 3:00. We have a kitchen. I can bring you through in the back to the kitchen, and you can watch from a door to the kitchen so that the people won't see you. And he said, yeah, maybe I'll take a walk down there with you. So anyway, I had to go downstairs, and he comes downstairs and he goes in the wrong door where everybody could see him.
Oh, jeez.
Mm.
So the show had just started. There was there's a band and there's an overture and so forth. So the door opens and this big giant fills the frame of the door, and everybody in the audience goes looking and goes, and he just walked away, and I never saw him again. So that was Andre the Giant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a great story. That's a great story. I'm wondering, how do you hide a giant, right? And you got to sneak him in. Well, attempt to sneak him in through the kitchen, like Goodfellas, like that scene there, and
Right.
kind of cut through. But that's
Exactly.
amazing. And he goes to the wrong doorway. How can you not miss Andre the Giant silhouette coming through, right?
Yeah. I mean, the
Unbelievable.
whole audience was shocked. The guys that worked for me were shocked.
Yeah, unbelievable. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you this, Sheldon. As far as speaking of Andre, dream match wise, the Big Show and Andre the Giant, who do you think would win a one-on-one dream match with those two guys? Both in their
Andre,
prime.
no question.
Andre?
Andre, no question. Yeah.
He was just so damn big and intimidating. And speaking of, we were talking about the
Yeah, but
SHEIK before.
if you saw him in his prime, he was a hell of an athlete.
Yeah. Well,
as
Chris
time went
definitely
on,
had footage of that.
the giantism, the acromegaly slowed him down. But in his prime, boy, he was as good an athlete as you'd ever find.
Before he started putting all the weight on and slowing down, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And the agility on a guy that big, and he took his liberties on guys like the SHEIK and the Macho Man, guys he didn't like. He let him know who the boss was. He truly was the boss.
Absolutely.
Now, Chris, did you say you had a clip with Sheldon, or are we just getting to that later, or while we have Sheldon on, or?
Whatever you
It's
want.
up to you, John. Do you have it ready?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. We can play it. Yeah, let's play it.
Yeah, might as well while we have Sheldon here. Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice for him to see this. Hold on, let's play it.
Sure.
All right.
Kind of my production work, if you want
There
to
you
call
go.
it.
Here we go.
A lot of people who worked here who later on became a big deal in pro wrestling, and you never quite knew who you were going to see.
John, a young John Cena, and Sheldon, your mic might have muted automatically when the video came up. But look at some of the names there: Beth Phoenix, Buffalo's own Beth Phoenix.
Yes, Kofi. This is kind of what I was talking about.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
What a cool,
Venue.
what a real cool, venue.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff there. The fans giving you your due there, and wow, I didn't realize a young John Cena, a young Beth Phoenix had rolled through there. That's awesome.
Yeah. There were many others too. Bobby Fish, Finn Balor when he was Prince Fergal Devitt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you see it in some of these guys, like when they were with you, like John Cena? Did you see he was a star in the making, or was he still kind of raw at that point?
No, I knew instantly. Once I saw him step through the ropes, I told him after the show. And by the way, that was the best $100 I ever spent in wrestling. I don't think I'll be able to get him for that price today. But anyway,
Right. Yeah.
He was there with his father. How this came to be was he was getting ready to move to Louisville to start up with Ohio Valley Wrestling, and he was getting some stuff from his home in West Newbury, and his father had basically bought like 80 tickets for his friends and family members because they had never seen him wrestle before. And at the end of the night, when I put the money in his hand, I put my arm around him, and I said to him, John, I says, one of these days, you're going to be the biggest star in the business. You're going to be a world heavyweight champion, and there's no doubt in my mind. I said, God bless you. You are, just carry the ball. Carry the ball. He goes, oh, thank you so much. But interestingly enough, before the match took place, when he was booked, he sent me an email, and he said, Mr. Goldberg, I understand that I'm booked for your show in Somerville, Massachusetts, and I'm going to be facing the future Frankie Kazarian. I just want you to know, I promise it's going to be a good match. I'm not going to stink out the joint. I thank you for booking me and letting me wrestle in front of my family. And he was assuring me that everything was going to be okay. And I said, man, what a classy kid.
Absolutely.
Man, what a classy, to this day, look at this guy, the most Make-A-Wish appearances of anyone ever.
Right.
He gets a lot of props, especially from me.
And a fun fact that not everybody knows, probably nobody knows except for me, but me and John Cena had the same exact birthday, April 23rd, 1977. We're the same exact age. So I always thought that was cool. Yeah.
All right.
Shell, can I ask a question real quick?
You can ask anything you like.
Thank you. The video where you thank the fans and they're chanting your name. Where is that from? That venue looked incredible.
That's Beverly, Massachusetts, and it's a place called the Cove Community Center. Cool. It's a little community center in a residential neighborhood in Beverly, Massachusetts, which is north of Boston. And independent wrestling is fraught with problems with venues. It happens all. That was like a perfect venue for doing TV tapings and so forth. It had a little balcony and a stage. It was a great little venue. Unfortunately, what happened was that the guy who ran the venue had an issue where he was busted for trafficking child pornography.
Oh, geez.
Oh.
Yeah, and I mean, it was an FBI thing. They locked him up and basically threw away the key. And after that, the people from the organization that ran the building and took it over said anybody that was associated with this guy, we want nothing to do with. So that was basically the end of our running there, unfortunately.
Understandable.
It was a great
that's
place. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, it looked great.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Sheldon, this was great, sir. We appreciate you hanging out with us for a little while today and talking about New England Championship Wrestling. Continued thoughts with you and your health going forward. We're pulling for you. And
Yes.
And hey, congratulations on retirement. And, we look forward to seeing any NECW updates. If they are to come, we'll definitely promote them on our Facebook page and on our show as well. And anytime you want to come back and catch up with us and keep us up to date on NECW, you're more than welcome to rejoin us again, sir.
I would love to. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Chris, for digging up those clips.
Well, you got it. That's kind of my forte, right? I'm kind of the historian, they call me. I got all the footage on DVD, and I love it. Classic wrestling, any wrestling, 24/7 here since I was 5 years old, 1980. And so thank you and appreciate your time and help today.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure anytime. Thank you guys so much for everything. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, sir. Take care. Take care. Mr. Sheldon Goldberg, thank you so much for joining us again from New England Championship Wrestling. John, go ahead. What were you going to say there?
No, I was just going to say, when you're ready to take us to break, I got a little video I'm going to play before we hit the commercials, just so you know.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and roll that right now, John, absolutely.
Okay, we'll head to our break.
All right.
Here we go.
Every stone, every screw in that building. Oh. And here's the man we're all talking about. The Iron Sheik.
You're talking about Olympic Auditorium, Los Angeles. Look at all the medals. I didn't buy it, Sanchez. I bought the Red Olympic 60 at Mexico City. Now, in the Los Angeles, I'm already getting excited. I'm on the Dr. bring me down. Los Angeles, California. I promise all the Iranian people, all the Arab people, all the rare American, Los Angeles Olympic Auditorium. I'm already excited. Soldier, I lost something to Hulk Hogan. I'm going to take it from you. خدمت همه شنوندگان ایرانی عزیز که در لس آنجلس زندگی میکنن سلام عرض میکنم، مخصوصا مرتضای تکیه مرتضای تکیه، سلیمان خاقانی، نوکر همه شما هستم. ایران داران شیک، آیت الله بلاسی، همه دنیا پهلوانای ایران میشناسه. Soldier, Los Angeles Olympic Auditorium. I bring you down and I'm gonna kick you just like I kicked the lazy camel. Woo! Woo! Belly, belly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you.
Digits 988 can save a life. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides connection to free confidential support. There is hope. The Lifeline works. For 24/7 confidential support, just call, text, or chat 988.
All right, welcome back to the Falls Kind of Weird podcast. Charlie, John, and Chris here, all with you. John, that was a great video of the SHEIK there, just as we rolled it into break there. Man, vintage SHEIK, just absolutely going nuts. And you have Classy Freddie Blassie and Mean Gene Okerlund in that clip as well. Three that are now no longer with us. Man, it's like our childhood, guys. It's like all those legends from our childhood, you know, they've passed away, and it's like there's only so few left. You know, it sucks.
Yeah, John, that was perfect. Loved every minute of it. That was great. And then the SHEIK getting all excited, trying to catch his breath.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think to myself, he's in my top 5. He has to be. It's my, you know, I just always looked forward to knowing when he was going to be on, whether it was on whatever channel I was watching. It, you know, you're ready. Just for the promo was the best.
Yeah,
and of course, as you know, before in NWA, Mid-Atlantic, and Maple Leaf Wrestling, John Hussein, the great Arab.
Excellent.
And he played there as well. And, you know, just, man, we're going to miss him. Right?
We miss him, man. Absolutely. He was in AWA as well, right, Chris? The SHEIK?
Yeah, well, he was trained there, went to Mr. Vern Gagne's training camp, and he started as a referee when he had the hair. in the AWA, and then he did start wrestling in AWA like 77, 78, but then he went on, and the rest is history, as we know. Many different territories, tag team champion, heavyweight champion, NWA Mid-Atlantic heavyweight champion, NWA Canadian heavyweight champion. I mean, on and on. So yeah, maybe we need to talk to our friend there, Reese by Law, and get an Iron Sheik RIP wreath for us, right?
Right. Yeah. Seriously,
Definitely.
Well, guys, so it's kind of somber. I mean, this is the last batch of SHEIK tweets that I was able to pull from Twitter while the SHEIK was still alive. So this one's kind of like the, I don't know, like a dedication, if you will, on the SHEIK tweets itself that we enjoy so much and have so much fun with. This is like the last batch of SHEIK tweets as far as, the SHEIK still being with us on this planet. So I don't know what we're going to do going forward. If you have any feedback on that, anybody that checks out our show, if we might do some classic SHEIK tweets and go all the way back over the years. He was on Twitter since 2009, so there's going to be a ton of content on there. Or we might just come up with something new altogether. I don't know yet, but rest in peace to the Iron Sheik. And here's his last batch of SHEIK tweets as he provided us with. Now, recently the WWE tweeted a top 10 finishers list of all time. And the omission here, as the SHEIK mentions on his tweet there, that he was left out. This list, jabroni list, without the camel clutch, Bubba. I got to agree. I mean, look, the camel clutch is one of those wrestling moves that if you were to put it on a sibling growing up or a friend, that shit works, man. I don't know if you've ever been put in it either. You can't breathe.
I have to agree with him. I don't know how that could be off the top 10. I mean, I'm looking at some of them. I just can't. I can't imagine that there's not. Yeah, he's got to be in the top 10.
And
let me ask you this. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
As we know, in history, of course, part of that hatred with the SHEIK and Hogan was the only one to get out of that camel clutch during his whole career.
Right.
So, you got, that should definitely be on that list.
Do you guys have a favorite finisher? One of my favorites, it's kind of basic, but he did it with such theater, if you will. The elbow smash off the top rope from the Macho Man. To me, with the put the hands up, and then he went flying through it. That's one of my all-time favorites. The Stone Cold Stunner and the Scorpion Death Drop is another one of my favorite ones. Absolutely love that finisher. You guys have any personal favorite finishers?
Well, for me, Snuka. I always liked that. The Superfly thing, and I think Undertaker. That was always just great when you'd see that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Chris, you got any personal favorites there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Superfly Snuka, that's another thing. Only 2 people kicked out of that Superfly splash. I mean, that was another incredible move.
Yeah.
We can call it the Cobra Clutch, the Cobra Hold. But before Sergeant Slaughter started using it, the Masked Superstar, Mr. Bill Eadie, started using it. And not many people would get out of that. And that's
I had that on me. That hurts.
Yeah,
they put you out.
Yeah, that hurts.
The finishers you can use in real life that actually have an effect on somebody. Those are great, man. The full Nelson. You could throw somebody in, or the
figure four. The figure 4 is another one. That was always good.
Not only the figure 4, but the figure 4 reversed.
Yeah,
that shit hurts. I did that as a kid once. We were messing around. I said, "Okay, flip it over." And I'll tell you what, when it gets flipped, it's even worse than the original figure 4. So that shit's effective. But anyway, the SHEIK's camel clutch, absolutely iconic and should be in the top 10. So the SHEIK was right to call that a jabroni list because it certainly was. What else do we got there, John?
I think this is our only. I think this is it.
No, I thought I had a couple other ones. There was one about the wildfires. It was "Fuck the Wildfires," which was simple and to the point.
For some reason, I don't know why it didn't transfer over. I'm sorry. It didn't transfer over to me.
That's all right.
I know the one you're talking about. He says,
"Fuck the wildfires." Yeah, basically, it was the tweet. It was his last ever tweet. Fuck the wildfires.
I downloaded it too. I don't know why it's not on the side here.
I'll fire you after the show. It's all right.
I know. Yeah,
So you got another 20 minutes.
hold on, I'm out.
Yeah. You're fired.
Yeah, it's
All right. No, that's okay. But yeah, the last tweet, take our word for it. If you don't believe me, go check the Twitter feed. Was fuck the wildfires, and I agree with that 1,000% because we're here in Niagara Falls, New York. We're in Western New York in the Northeast. New York City's getting it bad. They have a hazardous air grade right now, which is like the worst you can have. Here, I think it's like a precautionary alert, where in New York, it's like, do not go outside and breathe because you're not going to feel good.
My friend there that I do the one podcast with lives in New Jersey, and he sent a picture at 2:00 in the afternoon. It looked like 8:00, 9:00 at night. That's how bad it was. It was so dark. And I bet you the Yankee game gets suspended tonight, or they don't. I can't imagine they're going to play. It was?
They canceled it. They're playing a doubleheader tomorrow. If they can even get it in tomorrow, they're expecting more of the same. So we'll see how it's a freaky thing. And, it's funny because we had Jacques Rougeau on this show, and he was talking about when he was doing a vignette, and a guy pulled him over for directions. He had a horse, and he said the ass end faces towards the U.S. and the nose. Well, I'll tell you what, the ass end is definitely pointing towards us, and we're getting all that shit blown towards us. And it's like a 4-day fart that we're dealing with in the damn air. So, thanks, Mountie. We appreciate that.
One quick thing that I heard, as far as air quality, New York City today is the worst. The only thing worse than New York City as far as Budapest, India.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's tough.
Yeah, and they're known. They're in like New Delhi, like they're known for bad air quality. It's always dangerous, and New York has surpassed that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, around where we live, I mean, it wasn't that great over here, but I mean, John, you're right close to Canada. I mean, you probably smell that as soon as you walk out, huh?
We do smell it. I'll tell you. And then when I head a little closer where my daughter lives out near, well, people don't live here, but it's like Military Road and Route 31. If you're not from Western New York, you know what I'm talking about. It was really strong over there. But the way the wind is blowing, it's just so bizarre that it's so bad in New York, right? I mean, that's just New York and New Jersey, whereas we would think, but we kind of escape because we're more west of Canada. You know what I mean? Where we're positioned. Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's very strange. Very, very strange thing. And, we get like, 3 months of summer, and now we got like haze everywhere. And so, yeah, go figure. At least it's not snowing though, right?
Well, I mean, I like it. Not too hot, not too cold year round, but 66 in June here. We're not used to that either.
Yeah, with a giant cigarette in the air, if you will. That's what it tastes like when you walk outside. It's disgusting. Oh, well, anyway, guys, let's move along here, and of course, yes, once again, rest in peace to the Iron Sheik at the age of 81. So rest in peace to the Sheik. But guys, we're going to open up the clips, the vaults, if you will. We have some more clips on deck here from Chris. Go ahead and take it over, Chris.
Yes, as I do each and every week, a disclaimer, right, from my own personal collection. I do not sell these clips or videos or DVDs or trade them with anybody. They're for my own enjoyment and our little enjoyment here each week on the show. And John, we got 2 clips since we already showed Sheldon's. Here we go, guys. Classic. Ivan Koloff.
Wow.
Uncle Ivan, right? The Russian bear.
Oh, yeah.
He's a tank. Look how big.
This is right? 1975 here, IWA.
Look at the guy who's wrestling. Look at the poor guy. Look at this guy. He looks like me. That's unfortunate. Look at him. Holy crap. Oh, Jesus. There you go.
Cristino getting beat early here.
Absolutely. I'd wear one I would definitely not just wear trunks like that. I'd wear the Big Show thing or something.
Still singlet there, yeah.
Oh, something's coming. I'm not showing that.
And here he is, one of our guests that were on the show, actually, Mr. Ricky Santana out of Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah.
But the Russian bear just goes to work on just anybody.
I think Rip Rogers is in this.
Yeah.
Like a commentator.
The Ripster, huh? The Ripomania running wild.
Yeah. And here we go towards the end of his career. Actually, uncle against nephew, if you will. Uncle Ivan against nephew Nikita here in the UWF.
Right.
Wow.
This was about between 91 and 92.
Wow, cool stuff.
It's really good stuff. All right.
Ivan Koloff. Yeah, that was pretty good quality footage for mid-70s there.
I got a lot of that. And, there's another one who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. These guys pass away, and they never get in there. What a shame.
I know it. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's disgusting. All right, here we go. Here's the last one.
Here we go, guys. A shout out to our friend, Mr. Herb Simmons, who had the St. Louis Fan Fest last weekend, June 3rd. This is St. Louis Wrestling at the Chase.
Oh, my.
So many different promotions from back in the 70s and 80s. Man, you got to love it.
Yeah. I love it. This is great. I love this.
To go back and watch these shows and relive it.
Classics, as we say, man. For a reason, it's just so... there we go.
Looks like he's a little banged up already.
Yeah. He's already busted open. Hasn't even fought. Or he just got done fighting. One of the two.
This was 1981, as you can tell by the suit, the hair.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
Classic Nature Boy right here.
Chasing Dusty Rhodes.
Only because you're the NWA champion, and only because Sam Mushnick and every other promoter in the world is trying to put us together as a come to me. This is St. Louis Wrestling.
And then it turned in from wrestling at the Chase and turned into St. Louis Wrestling here about 1983-84.
Wow.
I love the music.
Me too. It's great, isn't it?
Oh, the show intros and outros alone are great.
Oh, boy.
Killer Carl, huh? All right. Wow.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you something. Do you have the opening or in both the intro and outro for Maple Leaf Wrestling?
Yes, I do, sir.
Because that one where they play, there's one that I can't. I have. You'll send it to me. We'll have to put it on because I gotta. There's one where they play. It's like an orchestra that's playing. I can hear the music in my head, but I've never found it yet. You got it.
Well, yep, I will give that to you. No problem at all.
Thank you.
Very good, Chris. Good clips as usual from the old wrestling collection vault there from Chris DiCarlo. So we do appreciate that each and every week here on the False Anywhere podcast. Good stuff, man. Like I said, some of the quality of some of those older videos is pretty good. Some of these you see them and they're really grainy, but like that Ivan Koloff one there was great. So yeah, that was.
Yeah, well, and we're gonna have our WWF, WWE, Be Damned. We're going to have our video tribute of the Iron Sheik's history right here next week.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. We will absolutely continue to, whatever capacity it is, we will always discuss the Iron Sheik on this show going forward. That's a given. So no mystery there. But guys, the wrestlers we do like to talk about every week as well, and there's a different one every week. And these are the guys that made a huge contribution to the business, even though they're not as known. But this one, I was a little bit on the fence on whether or not he was an actual jobber. And I think he was just based on his record. But our jobber for this week is Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman, as you see him here with Teddy Long. He was a WCW guy all the way, never any appearances in WWF. He actually was in the Marines. He was a former military guy. And looking up some of his information, from 1989 to 1991 in the Marines, he was the heavyweight Greco-Roman knuckle champion for 3 years straight. So he was nobody to mess with in the Marine Corps there. His wrestling career just it never really took off. He started off pretty solid, and then, his career record ended up at 3 wins, 1 loss, or 1 draw, and 26 losses. From 1995 until 1997, he had 3 pay-per-views, I believe, and several appearances on WCW Saturday Night. Just was rarely victorious, and had a few matches with a wrestler by the name of Cobra who I'm not familiar with, but he looks like Cobra had a shitload of matches, like over 500. So maybe Chris, maybe you're more familiar with Cobra, but they had a little bit of a rivalry. The story behind that was Cobra was a former Marine that went AWOL, and Sergeant Craig Pittman was pissed off at him, and they were going at it, something to that effect, and then they feuded for a while. But I was on the fence with this because he had a manager at one point, Teddy Long, as we see there, Hall of Famer Teddy Long. So I don't know. I was on the fence, but the record, like I said, justifies his jobber status, a losing percentage of over 800. So I think he qualifies. But cool gimmick nonetheless. I'm just surprised he never really took off.
Yeah, wow. To give you that background there, Charlie, you are correct. The Cobra played the face against Sergeant Pittman, the heel. And actually, Cobra was the man who he also played as Glacier back in WCW as well.
Didn't know that. Very good.
We'll have to see if we can reach out to him here and then get him on the show someday.
That'd be cool.
Especially in the winter. If we're going to have Glacier on, you can tell the jokes are getting worse as we wind down the show here. But anyway, Glacier, that was an interesting gimmick. Didn't like snow come down from like his entrance and stuff when he came in?
Yeah, WCW gimmick, but it didn't go nowhere either.
Yeah. I think it was the wrong era because he was around that NWO era, and people were kind of over that. You know what I mean? If he would have showed up in the late '80s, it might have been a whole different outlook for him. Because people were more into the gimmicks back then. And then once Scott Hall broke that barrier and just exposed everything, or WCW kind of pulled back the curtain on everything with, and that was kind of a first too, using the real. I shouldn't say a first, but at that time, it hadn't been done in a while, like using the real names of those guys. It was just Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. We knew him as Razor Ramon and Diesel in WWF at the time. So maybe Glacier would have made it. And maybe Sergeant Pittman would have made it in WWF. Who knows at the time? But
you're absolutely right, Charlie. John, as we kind of look at that nowadays, you can tell that WWE will give you their fake name unless it's a John Cena or somebody, and AEW is giving you the real name, like Bryan Danielson. So that's exactly going on to today.
Yeah. No more, not too many more gimmicks like there used to be, like
I don't like it.
Skinner or Duke the Dumpster Drosy
and that's why we don't have
Clown. There are some classics.
And I guess that's why we don't have masked wrestlers anymore, because you can't give out names. I mean, it's gotta be the show, whatever. It's gotta be the show of it, but
basically the masked wrestlers are the luchadors now. That's about it.
Yeah.
There is the guy in the NWA, goes by Scion. Don't really know who he is. The mask has never come off. I hope it don't either, because it's great.
Yes,
keep the mystery going, right? Absolutely.
But two things real quick, guys, as we a little recent commentary, if you will, about AEW Forbidden Door pay-per-view coming up in about 2 weeks or so. What a hell of a match. Last year's was great. The whole show, every match. I can't wait for this year because Bryan Danielson will be taking on Okada.
Wow, that's going to be phenomenal. I did catch that, Chris. That's going to be one heck of a match. That might be worth checking out. And I believe we mentioned it last week, but the return of CM Punk to AEW as well. They're hoping was going to boost the sales of that AEW Collision, but I guess it did nothing to move the needle on the ticket sales. So that's not good. So hopefully this Forbidden Door pay-per-view maybe, hopefully it's a great enough one of a pay-per-view where fans will buy tickets to that. Well, I take that back. I think Collision's before that. Wow. I guess my point is I don't want to see fans turn away from AEW because, again, the competition is healthy for wrestling. I love that.
Boy, isn't it something that CM Punk did enough to turn people off so much? The avid rat. I mean, I'm probably a little more casual. You guys might be too, as far as watching the shows. But geez, he really turned them off like that. Because I'm still thinking back when he's around. That's a big deal. Everyone's chanting his name. Wow.
He had it too. Well, up until that whole brawl happened last year, because he was, John, exactly like the fans were chanting his name before he even entered the arena. And it just all got ruined with that backstage brawl.
Now they're going to present it on the 17th, and I hope it's a live show.
He's got
to need some seat fillers.
And he should be like one of the worst heels ever. He should go out there and just start giving people the finger and stuff, and just
I absolutely agree.
Hate everyone. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yes, because he's kind of coming back as a villain. I mean, it was a lot of from what we heard anyway. A lot of the brawl was caused by him. But there's so much speculation on that story. I don't want to put it all on CM Punk, but you got to imagine there's a reason why he was away, not just his injury, but reason why he was off TV because there was even questions of whether or not they were going to bring him back. And this was kind of like an attempt to.
He'll be unbelievable. That will be the hatred's there. It's obviously it's there. He's gonna could work out.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how they're gonna do it, and I hope it's live on the 17th.
Yeah.
The other thing too is the Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up for WWE this month. I believe it's this month. They've had some qualifying matches. Right now, the front runner for the men's is LA Knight. Which we discussed as well previously on the show, but a lot of the fans seem to be on board with LA Knight capturing that Money in the Bank contract, which would be a really cool dynamic, be a great opportunity to elevate his career and get him going because he's great on the mic, he's in great shape, he's a great performer, and the fans seem to love him. So we'll see how that goes. Now, as I say that, I think of last year they gave it to Austin Theory, and it felt like he wasn't quite ready, but I think LA Knight has a little bit more of a history going back to NXT and in previous promotions before that fans are familiar with, that they'll be more accepting of LA Knight than they were of Austin Theory winning it last year. So there remains to be seen, though.
You are right. He went by the name of, I don't know if it's his real name or not. Again, NWA promotion with Billy Corgan there. He was Eli Drake. And same character, same persona, but that's where I seen him and I liked him there. So
the same shtick with the yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of missed that, like where Austin was, right? Austin got the whole crowd into it and everything. It's kind of what he's trying to do anyway.
He kind of, his voice a little bit reminds me of The Rock a little bit. And it's going to be tough to match The Rock on the mic, but he's not that far off. I mean, he's really good on the microphone too. So yeah, we'll see how the WWE handles this. So if he does in fact come away with it, we'll see. That's a pay-per-view we'll certainly talk about as we get closer to it. But guys, John, did you have a thought there? I'm sorry.
No. You know what it is? The allergies are killing me, and I was just kind of.
Oh yeah, wow. Time to get some Sudafed out, buddy, because it's it's rough out there, man.
Yeah, the smoke from up north, and it don't help. But anyway, segue into closing the show here. John, if you will, put up, we'd like to thank our fans on all of our platforms. Of course, here on Facebook, our home, our Twitter is growing at Count Anywhere, and also Spotify, and also our YouTube channel, Friends with the Z Media Network there. Put that all together and under your search on YouTube, and you can check out not only this show, but John's sports show and his other shows. And everything is growing nicely. We're working towards 1,000 subscribers. So we like to thank our viewers.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Good stuff as always. And John, do you have any public service information for the listeners here?
I do, and I'm going to bring up this, and it's a local number here where we live, but you don't have to worry about it because it's the YWCA. This is just in the Buffalo area, Niagara Falls area. Anywhere in the country, in almost every county we figured out, there is a YWCA, also in Canada. Now, the YWCA is for women that are being, let's say, domestic violence, also mental health, but domestic violence, if they've been unfortunately sexually assaulted and all and that, the YWCA is there for them. You have one in almost every county of America, and definitely in every province. And in there, I always forget if they call them state. I never know what they're broken into counties up there, but same thing. The YWCA is there. It's for you if you've been hurt in that way, domestic violence. Please give them a call. They're there for you to help you.
Awesome. Good stuff, John. Thank you so much for that information. And guys, as we roll through here in the month of June, we look forward to some guests along the way as we plug along here over the summer. Stay safe, stay indoors as much as you can until this crap dissipates, and then we can get back outside and enjoy the nice weather. But one last, just one last, rest in peace and I don't know. What else could you say? The Iron Sheik, rest in peace. And 81 years old. It was a long life and an unbelievable life. If you haven't seen his documentary, as Sheldon Goldberg, our guest today, mentioned, it was one of the best documentaries they put together. And it really covers the entire span of his life, not just his wrestling career. And it's really good stuff. So, again, rest in peace to the Iron Sheik. And as we sign off here on Falls Count Anywhere, and we hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys again soon. Have a good one.
Yeah,